Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Eddie Jennings from EJSLLC.com. This video is another in my practice session series for the Red Hat Certified Specialist in Containers exam EX188. Before I dive in, I want to thank returning subscribers for watching another video, as well as invite anyone who hasn't subscribed yet to click the subscribe button. And if you enjoy the content of the video, make sure you click like. A reminder, this video is a practice session of me going through some of the objectives and trying to explain them and maybe do some examples. The purpose of it is for my own self-assessment of, am I ready to deal with these objectives on the exam, which is in just under 2 weeks? And hopefully at the end of the video, I feel pretty confident about the objective, but if not, I still have some time to do some brushing up. These are not intended to be tutorials, nor are they intended to be training material. However, I do try to have the information accurate. And hopefully, if you're watching this video and you're also preparing for the exam, some of the things I do in my practice session might be useful for you as far as giving you ideas on how to practice yourself. So we're continuing in the Manage Images section of the objectives, and we're going to look at interacting with many different registries. And one thing I'm going to also do is talk about the configuration of how Podman chooses what registries and such to use. I don't think there's a specific objective saying, hey, you need to configure Podman to do different things with registries, but that seems like a very Red Hat thing to have to do on an exam as far as doing configuration of something and messing with a config file. Now, of course, there's no way for me to know, and I may be totally wrong. There may be nothing on the exam about configuring Podman and working with the registries.conf file, but I have a feeling that that's probably a decent thing to know. So I'm going to be hitting that with this particular video today. So speaking of, let's go into our terminal and let's look at how Podman is going to deal with various registries. So the main configuration file for this is in etc containers, and it is registries.conf. So let's open this in VI and take a look at what's going on here. If you did have to do configuration of this, this configuration file, as many configuration files within the Linux world, has some pretty good documentation built into the file itself as far as comments and such. So the first line that we're going to look at is this unqualified search registries. So up until this point, all of the images that I've built using like the container file and such, I have used the fully qualified image name, usually for the rel8 UBI image. However, I don't have that full image name memorized, or I think I was able to successfully use it from memory in one of my videos, but generally that's not the case. And so I use Podman search to try to find the fully qualified image name. And the registries that are configured here are the order in which the registries are searched. So for example, let me open another tab. I'll do Podman search UBI. And the first results that are returned are from registry.access.com. Then we have a few from registry.redhat.io and then docker.io. And that makes sense here. It's going to look for it in registry.access.redhat.com, then registry.redhat.io, and then docker.io. You can add more registries to this as you want, or take them away. The one thing to keep in mind, though, is when you are building your images and such, you're going to want to use the fully qualified registry name. And the reason being for that is, let's say that I want to use, what would be, let's just look at one of these. So UB9 init. So let's do this. Podman run rm UB9 init. Which this is probably not the greatest example, because it looks like there's this alias, registriesconf.d, which I hadn't got the conf.d yet. So there's a file here that is, that makes sense. All right, well, that wasn't a good example, but what I can do, let me pivot and let's take a look at registries conf.d. Yeah. In addition to the registries.conf file, you can have like drop-in configuration files, which this is a pretty common thing with a lot of applications. And let's take a look at the rel short names file. Yeah, and this has a bunch of aliases. This is actually something that you can define in your registries.conf, and it's basically if you are looking for a particular image name, and actually let me take a step back here. A little bit all over the place, which is not unusual for a practice session. My brain doesn't always work in a straight line. So let's take this image here. To break down what we're looking at with this fully qualified image name, we have the actual registry, which is registry.redhat.io. Then we have a namespace for the image, and then we have the actual image. And you can set up aliases to where if you are looking for, namespace, whatever image, or just for the image name. And I think, actually, let's grep for UBI. Oops. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of results for this. Oh yeah, there's a ton. And what was that one that I did? UBI 9 in it. There should be one that's going to be, yep, UBI 9 in it. So when I searched, or rather not searched, but when I ran a container for UBI 9 in it, that is automatically configured to resolve to this fully qualified image name. Thus, why this pulled down from registry.access.com. So what I was going to mention earlier as far as the danger of that, when you don't use the fully qualified name, and if you don't happen to have an alias already configured, this is not something I configured. This is just baked into to rel 8, but it will pull down or whatever image it finds from the first registry. Let me go back to the original config file. If it finds this image from this registry, that's what it's going to pull down first, regardless of if the image is in these other registries. The problem that you can run into is, you can have a person that has like squatted a namespace or squatted a registry, and you end up pulling down the image that you don't actually intend, even though it is named the same. So the moral of the story is, when you're actually using the image, use the fully qualified image name. But if you need to search for something, then obviously you have the fully qualified name, and this is how you configure where what registries you are going to be searching. Now you can, and this is mentioned in the comments and such here, but you can do some kind of fine-grained stuff. Let's say that, I probably wouldn't, yeah, we could do this. All right, so what I'm going to do is, oh yeah, I need to run this as sudo, or rather run vi as sudo. Okay, so what I want to do is, let's say for whatever reason, I want to block the ability to download that image from docker.io. So let me do a little bit of searching here, or let's see if I can find an image that is in multiple. Yeah, so just UB9. Clear my screen. Let's search, Podman search UB9. So we have the docker.io, Red Hat UB9. We have UB9 from registry.redhat.io, and UB9 is also the name of a namespace as well. And then from registry.access.com. So let's say I wanted to configure this in a way that says, hey, if you are going to use a UB9 image, we are going to disallow getting that from docker.io. This is where we can configure a little namespace here in our registries.conf file. I might not be using the exact correct term for that. So the prefix, and you can do, this can be all the way from a fully qualified image name to a part of the image, but we're just going to say UB9. And the location, I believe I can do it this way, docker.io. You can also just have location and not have prefix as well. There is, and this is something that I want to review a little bit more before I take the exam, is the exact function of prefix and location. It's mentioned in the documentation here, and also there's a man page for this that would be available to you should you need it on the exam. And what I want to do is, I think it's blocked equals true. And this actually kind of affects in real time. If I do a search, it will now use this what I have configured in the comp file. So let's try that. Podman search UB9. Oh, it's still there. I was expecting that to not work. Maybe I need to use a wildcard with that. Let's try that. Pretty sure I have that right. Blocked equals true. I might need to do the full prefix missing its. All right, let's see what happens here. I might have the fact, well, we'll just see. Nope. Well, what I can do, if I wanted, if I explicitly wanted to deny that, I'm not going to deal with location at all. And let's see what happens now. Location is unset and prefix is not in the format. Okay, wasn't quite expecting that. If prefix is missing, actually, let me take a look at the man page for this. I'm curious to see how it's explained there. Let's see, man, containers, registries. Probably just misspelled it. There we go. We have namespaces. The insecure one, that will allow you to use HTTP instead of HTTPS. Yeah. Prefix. Use specified image name, one of the following formats. Okay, so that specifies the location of the prefix rooted namespace. So I'll go back into here and let's see if this does what I want. Okay. The reason why I'm a bit confused with this, because I did a little bit of practicing with this, and I've noticed that it did not, when I had the blocked true, it was not giving me search results. But we'll put this to the test. Let's see if we can actually pull down this image. All right. I mean, obviously it didn't work, but I'm not sure if it is not working because of my design or if I have a misconfiguration here. So let's try this again. Okay, so that's obviously a misconfiguration. Okay, so this is an error more like what I was expecting to see. That particular registry is blocked in the registries.conf, so this location. So I clearly need to do some practicing between prefix and location as far as the proper use of either. And this is the kind of thing, again, I haven't seen anything in the objectives about it, but I have a feeling that this is the kind of thing that would potentially be tested. So obviously I need to do some practice with it. One other thing to note is, in addition to that, the registries.conf.d file that you can do some drop-in configs, you can also have a configuration within your home directory in the .config.containers folder that would apply before Podman checks the etc containers registries.conf. I already mentioned the aliases. The one other thing that you can do, and I'm not going to configure this because I don't have anything that has mirrors available, but let me go back into registries.conf and I can show you, probably has some examples here. The usage of mirrors. So what you can do is, in this format is basically you would have the registry block, registry namespace with its configuration, and then directly under that you would have the registry mirror. And if you wanted to specify multiple mirrors for something to try, and it would do this in the order in which you have specified mirrors, that could be a potential useful thing for you. So I think for this objective, conceptually, I understand what's going on as far as interact with many different registries. Well, that's kind of that's pretty vague to begin with, but I mean, we've interacted with other registries as far as just searching. We happen to have the images in 3 different places many of the time. And I think I understand the concept of the configuration file. However, I do need to review prefix versus location to have a better understanding of that. Hopefully you found this video useful in any way, or at the very least maybe give you some ideas of something that you yourself might need to brush up on in your own studies. I want to thank returning subscribers for watching another video and encourage you to click the subscribe button if you haven't already, and click like if you did find the video useful. Thank you for your time, and I will see you the next time.